I believe I have found a contender for the most ridiculous royal story of the week. And this particular story, I feel, is an unintentionally hilarious piece of royal strategy. And it's a piece of reporting that I feel needs to be appreciated for the ridiculousness that it is. So apparently the other brother and the other girl, their big threat in response to the possibility of Harry and Meghan visiting the UK in July for Invictus, because they do this Invictus 1 year to go event, and it's possible that Harry and Meghan may be visited in July. So their plan is to hide. Yes. So I order you to go into hiding when Harry and Meghan visit the UK. So, and the papers, I think this is what makes it funny for me. The papers are trying to sell it that it's a very strategic response. Because remember, previously when Harry has been in town, either for court or whatever, that is when you suddenly get this hive of activity, right? I think they tried that and that didn't really work. And they got a lot of slating from people saying, oh, maybe Harry should come to town more often because at least his presence seems to get the other royals, it seems to get them working. So the fact that they will hide, and that is the plan, I think is hilarious. So I think this is what makes the threat so unimpressive, because the other brother and the other girl, they are already in hiding. It's honest if they are like, oh my God, hard workers. And then because Harry's in town, they've decided, you know what? We're going to go into hiding and avoid all of that circus. No. They're already in hiding. Now, we know that they've been at Anmer Hall since the school holidays started on the 27th of March. And today is the 21st of April. And the school holidays end tomorrow. And that is approximately 4 weeks of the wholesome, values-driven family time that a palace source described as moving. I was going to do a video about that, but then I thought, is it worth doing? Because they literally commissioned an article. It was you could tell it was briefed about how spending so much time with their children is very wholesome and very values driven. And there's Joe and Joanna like myself, Joe and Joanna Public like myself, who have no choice but to keep working, even if their children are on holiday, because again, they need to eat and they need to be clothed and they need to be sheltered. But anyway, so the point is, they went in hiding in March for 19 days when the children were at school, and the family time justification was not even available. So remember, there's someone who does how many days have they worked this month, and they concluded that the other brother, there was 19 days of work he didn't do. And the other girl, she beat her own record by only doing 4 days of work. So she had the other 27 days of work free, doing absolutely nothing. So we know they've been hiding since Easter. They hide in December. They hide in Mustique. They hide in Balmoral. They hide at Anmer Hall. And they hide in December. So they also hide when the news cycle produces something that they would prefer not to be adjacent to. Interesting. And the hiding, I feel, is not in response to Harry and Meghan. I feel that the hiding at this point is a lifestyle. And I think that hiding is partly why the press is frustrated. But unfortunately, they are taking their frustrations out at the wrong couple. Because they know that they can't take their frustrations out on the other brother and the other girl, so they deflect and they project all the things that the other brother and other girl are doing onto Harry and Meghan. So, for example, I did a video yesterday where, no, it wasn't yet, I think it was the day before, where a reporter literally told a massive lie that Harry dashed out of the room when Meghan was speaking and wasn't there when Meghan finished to walk her off the stage. And then somebody circulated a photo. That photo has been largely scrubbed from the internet, but it shows the other brother with an umbrella abandoning his wife, and Harry had to call back to him and say, "You forgot something, you forgot your wife." Yes. And it's a real photo. It was taken from a magazine, Paris Match, I believe. So whatever they project on Harry and Meghan is actually what's going on with the other couple. So we also know that the timing of July is also very specific, because we know that in July, the other girl and the other brother, they traditionally disappear once Wimbledon is over and the summer school holidays begin. So we know throughout the summer school holidays, we're not going to see them till September. So we're talking approximately late June until September, when the children return to school, we will not be seeing them. So July is already in the zone of their standard annual disappearance anyway. So they were always going to disappear in July, regardless of who's coming to town. So announcing that they will hide in July if Meghan and Harry visit is roughly equivalent to saying you will stay inside on a day when you were never going to go outside anyway. Yes. So it's like me announcing that I was never going to eat at a 3-star Michelin.
William and Kate's July hiding plan, royal family tensions. William and Kate's July hiding plan. William and Kate's big threat in response to the possibility of Harry and Meghan visiting the UK in July for the Invictus Games 1 year to go events is that they will go into hiding. They will hide. That is the plan. The future King and Queen of England's strategic response to their brother and sister-in-law potentially visiting for a sporting charity event is to be somewhere else. I need everyone to understand what makes this threat so spectacularly unimpressive. William and Kate are already in hiding. They have been at Anmer Hall since the school holidays began on March 27th. The school holidays end April 22nd. That is approximately 4 weeks of the wholesome, values-driven family time that a palace source described as moving. They were in hiding in March for 19 days, when the children were at school and the family time justification was not even available. They have been hiding since Easter. They hide at Mustique. They hide at Balmoral. They hide at Anmer Hall. They hide in August. They hide in December. They hide whenever the news cycle produces something they would prefer not to be adjacent to. The hiding is not a response to Harry and Meghan. The hiding is a lifestyle. The threat of absence. William and Kate's big threat in response to the possibility of Harry and Meghan visiting the UK in July for the Invictus Games 1 year to go events is that they will go into hiding. They will hide. That is the plan. The future King and Queen of England's strategic response to their brother and sister-in-law potentially visiting for a sporting charity event is to be somewhere else. I need everyone to understand what makes this threat so spectacularly unimpressive. A lifestyle of disappearance. William and Kate are already in hiding. They have been at Anmer Hall since the school holidays began on March 27th. The school holidays end April 22nd. that is approximately 4 weeks of the wholesome values-driven family time that a palace source described as moving. They were in hiding in March for 19 days when the children were at school and the family time justification was not even available. They have been hiding since Easter. They hide at Mustique. They hide at Balmoral. They hide at Anmer Hall. They hide in August. They hide in December. They hide whenever the news cycle produces something they would prefer not to be adjacent to. The hiding is not a response to Harry and Meghan. The hiding is a lifestyle. The commenter noted it most precisely. Will anyone notice if they are in hiding? It is not like these two have a notable work schedule. The July timeline absurdity. William and Kate traditionally disappear once Wimbledon is over and the summer school holidays begin. They are usually unavailable from approximately late June until September, when the children return to school. July is already in the zone of their standard annual disappearance. Announcing that they will hide in July if Harry and Meghan visit is roughly equivalent to announcing that you will stay inside on a day when you never go outside anyway. The institution's circus. The source's language is also worth examining. They would much prefer to literally go into hiding than risk being pulled into what they regard as avoidable tension and disruption. Bringing a circus to town, snowballing into an intense media storm. These are the words used to describe what happens when Harry and Meghan come to a country. By the people who created the conditions that made Harry and Meghan leaving that country the global story it became. By the institution that withdrew their security, that evicted them from Frogmore, that briefed against Meghan for years through the royal rota, that is actively blocking the security restoration that would allow Meghan to be in the UK safely. The circus comes to town. The circus is created by the institution and the press that serves it. And then the institution hides from the circus it created and calls the two people who left the chaos behind the problem. The security dimension. There is also the security dimension which cannot be overlooked in a discussion about the July visit. Meghan's presence is dependent on police protection. The security situation has been delayed. Sources close to the Sussexes have consistently indicated that the delay is not bureaucratic, but political. The institution has worked behind the scenes to prevent the security restoration because no one in any royal court wants a repeat of the Australian tour happening in London and Birmingham. The future king's approach to his brother visiting for a veterans' charity event is to block the security that would allow his brother's wife to attend safely and then announce he will go on holiday if they come anyway. This is the dignity of the future monarchy, hiding at Anmer Hall, while Harry announces an international sports festival for wounded veterans at the Australian War Memorial. The hypocrisy of the approach. William blocks security for his brother's wife while planning to hide during their visit. This is the dignity of the future monarchy. The institution creates problems, then retreats rather than addressing them. It works behind the scenes to prevent Meghan from being in the UK safely. Then announces it will go into hiding if she comes anyway. This is not strategy. This is not leadership. This is the operational framework of an institution that manufactures crises and then abdicates responsibility for resolving them. The future king's contribution to family tension is to ensure his sister-in-law cannot attend safely and then disappear to Norfolk when his obstruction proves insufficient. The palace creates the circus, maintains the circus, profits from the circus, and then hides from the circus while calling the people who left it behind disruptive. This is the constitutional framework being prepared for a new reign. Hiding at Anmer Hall while announcing you will hide at Anmer Hall. The redundancy is the point, the strategic priorities of a future king. While Harry is announcing international sports festivals for wounded veterans at the Australian War Memorial, William is strategising about Norfolk. The Invictus Games 1 year to go events will occur in Birmingham in July 2027. The Invictus movement is building towards San Diego 2029. The Perth Festival is confirmed for October 2026. And William's response to his brother's charitable commitment to injured service members, the actual work of supporting those who served, is to hide at Anmer Hall. The contrast is not subtle. One brother is coordinating multi-year international sporting events for veterans across 3 continents. The other brother's plan is to be unavailable in a county where he is already unavailable most of the time anyway. The future king's strategic priority when confronted with his brother's veteran-focused charity work is geographical absence from a country he already barely occupies in any professional capacity. Nobody will notice the difference, because as the commenter said, just another Monday, or Tuesday, or Wednesday, etc.